Sean, the RC mechanic, could the Falcons trade up to number 1 and draft Aidan Hutchinson? Could they do it? Sure. But, for you to go from 8 to get all the way up to 1, you're going to trade this year's first, this year's second, and then probably next year's first and next year's second on top of that, and that still might not even be enough. You got to think how much value that number 1 overall pick is. Yeah, I think you're giving up. You're probably even have to give up on even more, dude. Think of, is that really what you want to give up? An 8, a second, and then next year's first and second as well, just to go up 7 spots. Aidan Hutchinson is a good player, but the only way I'm giving up that much draft capital is if you go get a quarterback. And not that I don't like any of the quarterbacks in this year's class. I do. I like Malik Willis. He's a good player. I'm not going to give up that much draft capital for a team who, let's face it, they're not in win-now mode. When you look at the Falcons roster from top to bottom, I actually think that they might be the worst overall roster in the National Football League. So you should save those picks and then retool and build on both sides of the football.
From Sean, the RC mechanic, who will fall to the Falcons with the number 8 pick? Trayvon Walker, Jordan Davis, Kenny Pickett, Jermaine Johnson. I don't think Walker is there. I do think there's a chance that everyone else is on the board. In fact, I think one of the QBs goes to Carolina. I think it's Pickett, actually, with the Matt Rule connection and he needing to win games now. I could see Willis, Johnson, and Davis all being on the board. I could see Kyle Hamilton being there. I could see a Kayvon Thibodeaux being there for you. There will be good players on the board at number 8 for the Falcons, and with all their needs, take BPA and just continue to build. From Keith Thompson, how about the Falcons trading for N'Keal Harry? They don't really have any wide receivers, and they don't. That receiving core is absolute cheeks. It's terrible. Your number 1 guy is Auden Tate, Demir Bird, Olamide Zaccheaus, Frank Darby? That's bad. So I think of all the teams that actually make sense, give them like a 7th round pick, but you also got to draft guys, plural, this year. From all the Vikes, could the Vikings shock everyone and go QB in round 1? Maybe. Outside of corner, I don't see any glaring needs. They also just restructured Kirk Cousins' deal and have said a lot of praise for him, so I'd be a little bit surprised if they went that route. I don't think Pickett's a great fit for them in terms of he's going to be more ready to play right now, and they would want to try maybe groom someone. But what if Malik Willis was the pick? I think he could be there. I got my top 5 QBs up here. Desmond Ridder at 3, Matt Corral 4, Sam Howell 5. None of them would have been a top 5 QB last year, and in most years they're more of a QB 3. But it's a bad QB class, at the top at least. Some teams that I think could go QB early. I think Carolina's going QB. Unless they trade for Jimmy G, you cannot start Darnold next year, man. The Falcons, Seahawks are rebuilding. If they love a guy like Malik Willis, they'll take him. Otherwise, wait, don't take a QB. The Saints now have 2 first-round picks. Don't sleep on them. And Pittsburgh, I think they could get aggressive this year. So how many QBs do you think go in the first round of this year's NFL draft? 1, 2, 3, 4? Let me know in the comments section. Alex Alay, why is Kayvon Thibodeaux falling down boards? It's a good question. I will not speak for myself because I like Thibodeaux a lot. I want to make that clear. But the reports and buzz and whispers and claims out there are kind of as follows here. He's not a great bender. It's true. He doesn't have great bend. He's not a great athlete. False. Not as big as we thought. Kind of true. But also, you should have known that because the numbers were out there for a while here, from a team perspective. He's got an ego. Sure. But also, he's a top 10 pick. Of course he has an ego. It's not a bad thing. He's got focus issues. He cares about his brand. And that's what annoys me the most. This, Thibodeaux doesn't love football. We've heard that before with other top Oregon prospects. Justin Herbert doesn't love football. He's too smart. Real thing. Penei Sewell, immature with no specifications as to why. That narrative happens a lot with Oregon guys. And it's 0 for 2 with Sewell and Herbert so far. And I don't get why that happens just for them. Doesn't make any sense. And it's really weird to see the Thibodeaux cares too much about his brand when Aidan Hutchinson has a show already with PFF. Like, that narrative disconnect doesn't make sense to me. It's really weird. I think Thibodeaux should probably pick number 2. If I were the Lions and I missed out on Hamilton, I'm not going to go safety in round 1, which, okay, I get positional value. I would take Thibodeaux. The Texans at 3, the Jets at 4, the Giants at 5. Should all strongly consider Kayvon Thibodeaux. The Giants 7, Falcons 8, Seahawks 9. If he gets out of the top 10, maybe then the NFL is right. Maybe then there is the real stuff. They're concerned about a Justin Gilbert all over again. For you Browns fans, you know that one. And maybe we're wrong. It's tough to know, but NFL isn't always right on those things. And it's just, the narrative is weird for around Kayvon Thibodeaux, especially with the Oregon stuff being similar in the past. And I like him a lot. Top 5 guy for me. I take him in a heartbeat. So what do you think? Who will draft Kayvon Thibodeaux this year? Pin comment on today's video. The ad break comes. You know the drill. Head down there. Let me know who you think will draft Kayvon Thibodeaux in round 1 of this year's class.
Fishing Life, Mike, what up, my dude? Who do you think will be the surprise player to fall out of the first round? Good question. Surprise player to fall out of the first round. This might be an unpopular opinion. I'm going to go with Drake London, the receiver from USC. He's really talented, but has already had some injury issues that I know some NFL scouts are a little bit weary about. So if I know some of these other wide receivers are really talented and I could take them in the first round, I'll say Drake London, but that would be a big-time surprise. All right, so out of the 4 teams that y'all see on screen right now, who ends up this 2022 season with the most wins? If you think it's the Tennessee Titans, I want you to go ahead and type TEN. Baltimore Ravens, BAL. Seattle Seahawks, SCA. The Pittsburgh Steelers, type PIT. The reason why I'm going to go with the Tennessee Titans is because they're in the weakest division. Though the team that I see being the worst on screen is Seattle. Baltimore has the upside with Lamar Jackson. Pittsburgh has the defense, but they're in a much tougher division. So I'm personally going to go ahead and say TEN.
Andrew Temple, do you think that the way things are going right now when teams don't have the money to pay big players, they just get traded off? So it's not they don't have the money. The Packers wanted to pay Devontae Adams. The Chiefs could have paid Tyreek Hill. They could have paid Amari Cooper. It was that they didn't think the value was right. And in general, that is what teams should do. If you're not going to pay somebody and somebody else will, then trade them and get something back. So I think that is the way things are going, and frankly, it's the way they've gone before. Teams are just a bit more aggressive in trading for those guys than what they might have been in the past. From Phillips Chill Videos, who is the best receiver outside of round 1? I don't think George Pickens goes round 1, but that's a really good football player. And it's kind of like receiver Derek Stingley, where had the career been flipped, he'd be in that top, I think, 15, top 20 conversation. I love his attitude, by the way. He's such a bully out there in a good way, I mean. So I like Pickens a lot there. I'm a big Alec Pierce fan, who I know will be there in round 2 and maybe round 3. I think those are 2 names. I think guys like a Christian Watson, a Jahan Dotson, Sky Moore are maybe better guys, but I think they have a better chance of going round 1 than George Pickens does. Now, if you want daily NFL videos and the 2022 NFL Draft Live, you're at the right spot. Hit that big red button and subscribe, youtube.com/chatsportstv. NFL Daily is now also on Rumble. Exclusive content, more videos, and of course, stuff we post here on YouTube is also available on Rumble. We try to dominate that platform. Rumble.com/NFL Daily. DG Sports Talk, are y'all hiring? That is above my pay grade, my friend. But to answer your question on Pierre Strong, I just finished him up the other night, so let me read off from my scouting report here. Pierre Strong, 5'11" and change, 202. Zone rushing scheme. Sleeper. I wish he played FBS. But he tested great with elite production at South Dakota State. Made some guys miss. Big play threat, 10 rush touchdowns of 50-plus yards. Drops are an issue, and they were an issue at South Dakota State for this past year against just 22 catches. I think he's a bit more like build-up straight line speed then big-time explosion, which is probably fine. My question mark is he Elijah Mitchell? I think it's a good player comparison. Or on the downside, is he Darrington Evans? 4th round, could have a sleeper on your hands there.
All right, y'all, so we're talking about cornerbacks. How many corners get drafted in round 1? Usually, and I try to diagnose each position by my top players. I could see 4 cornerbacks going in round 1. I would probably set it. I'd probably set the over-under at 4.5, though that seems high. Maybe 3.5, because I see Stingley, I see Sauce, and I see Trent McDuffie all going in round 1. And then after that, it does get a little bit interesting. So let's say 3.5. That would be the over-under. Let me know how many corners get drafted in the first round of the 2022 NFL Draft.